France are heading to the 2026 World Cup with something no other nation can match. A Ballon d'Or winner in his absolute prime, the most lethal striker in world football, and a squad so deep that world-class players will be left at home. Back-to-back World Cup finals in 2018 and 2022 proved their consistency, and now they're coming back with an even scarier team. This is why France will be the most terrifying team at the 2026 World Cup. The blueprint of dominance. The foundation started nearly 3 decades ago, and France aren't just hoping to win in 2026. They've been building toward this moment since 1998. Their first World Cup came on home soil that year, a 3-0 demolition of Brazil in the final, where Zinedine Zidane scored twice and Emmanuel Petit added a third, teaching an entire generation of French footballers what it takes to lift the trophy. 20 years later in Russia, the blueprint repeated itself when France demolished Croatia 4-2 in the final, since Pelé in 1958. That victory wasn't a one-off, but rather the beginning of something sustained and relentless. 4 years after that, France reached another final in 2022, losing to Argentina on penalties after a 3-all thriller where Mbappé scored a hat-trick, only the second player ever to do so after Jeff Hurst in 1966, and walked away with the Golden Boot after scoring 8 goals in the tournament. Winners in 2018, finalists in 2022, and now heading to 2026, means 3 consecutive World Cup finals if they reach it again. A level of dominance no team in the modern era has matched over the past 8 years. 8 consecutive World Cup appearances since 1998 tell the story of consistency. 2 tournament victories, 4 finals reached, 2 European Championships won since 1998, plus the 2021 Nations League title, all add up to one conclusion. The modern era of international soccer has been dominated by France. Plain and simple. And here's what makes 2026 different. This team is somehow even better than the ones that reached those last 2 finals. The Ballon d'Or winner nobody saw coming. September 22, 2025 changed everything when Ousmane Dembélé won the Ballon d'Or, beating out Vinicius Jr. and Lamine Yamal in a vote that wasn't even close. 1,380 points to Yamal's 1,059, with 73 of the 100 jurors placing Dembélé first, settled any debate about who owned 2025. Understanding why this makes France terrifying requires looking at Dembélé's journey, which started with a move from Barcelona to Paris Saint-Germain in 2023 for 50 million euros at a time when people considered him talented, but wildly inconsistent. His discipline was questioned constantly, his injury record raised concerns, and one report even noted that diet and discipline were not his forte back then. Luis Enrique arrived at PSG and repositioned Dembélé as a number 9, and that's when everything changed for the French winger. The 2024-25 season saw him score 35 goals and provide 16 assists in 53 matches, while playing as a false 9 in PSG's fluid attack, emerging as a mature, focused, energized, and devastating version of himself. 32 non-penalty goals that season meant only Mbappé and Lewandowski scored more in Europe's top 5 leagues. But the crowning achievement came on May 31st, 2025, when PSG faced Inter Milan in the Champions League final, a trophy France's capital had been waiting for decades to claim. Dembélé delivered with 2 assists in a 5-0 demolition that sealed his legacy and gave PSG the quadruple: Champions League, Ligue 1, Coupe de France, and Trophée des Champions, all in one season. Ligue 1 Player of the Year honors came for the first time. UEFA Champions League Player of the Season followed, and his 14-goal contributions in Europe's premier competition, 8 goals and 6 assists in 15 appearances, helped him finish as joint top scorer in Ligue 1 with 21 goals. One Ballon d'Or juror captured it perfectly by calling it l'année Dembélé, meaning Dembélé's year. Now here's the timing that makes France absolutely terrifying. Dembélé won the Ballon d'Or in September 2025, and the World Cup starts in June 2026, which means 9 months of confidence, form, and momentum. Arriving at the tournament as the reigning best player in the world, in the form of his life, with the confidence of a Champions League winner, creates a scenario France has never experienced before. Because they've had Ballon d'Or winners before, but never one who arrived at a World Cup within months of winning the award while still riding the peak of the performance that earned it. And he's not even their most dangerous player. The phenomenon, 60 goals in 2025, is what Kylian Mbappé scored. And let me say that again so it sinks in. 60 goals in a single calendar year. That number puts him in a club with only 3 other players in the 21st century. Lionel Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, and Robert Lewandowski, which is the company he's keeping at age 27 while entering the 2026 World Cup right in the middle of his absolute prime years. Real Madrid signed him in July 2024, and he didn't just settle in, but rewrote history by scoring 31 league goals in his debut La Liga season, winning the European Golden Shoe and breaking a 71-year-old Real Madrid record held by Alfredo Di Stefano for most goals in a debut La Liga season. 59 goals for Real Madrid in 58 games during the 2025 calendar year equaled Cristiano Ronaldo's Real Madrid record from 2013, and the club named him Real Madrid Player of the Season for 2024 to 2025. But here's what makes him truly terrifying. At a World Cup, he's already done it on the biggest stage twice. At 19 years old in 2018, he scored in the World Cup final against Croatia. Then in 2022, he scored a hat-trick in the World Cup final against Argentina, making him one of only 2 players ever to score a hat-trick in a World Cup final, alongside Jeff Hurst, who did it in 1966. 8 goals in that tournament earned him the Golden Boot. 27 years old with 94 caps and 55 goals for France means he's just 5 goals away from breaking Olivier Giroud's all-time scoring record while serving as captain and coming off a 60-goal year. Mbappé has scored in 2 World Cup finals, and if France reach a third final in 2026, he'll be looking to score in a third, something no player in history has ever done. Now imagine this: Mbappé through the middle, Dembele the reigning Ballon d'Or winner on the right, and we haven't even talked about the rest of the attack yet. Michael Olise, at 23 years old, plays for Bayern Munich after transferring from Crystal Palace, bringing sublime dribbling and playmaking abilities that place him among the best attacking midfielders in Europe, while serving as an excellent... Désiré Doué is 20 and plays for PSG. And in that Champions League final, where Dembele starred, Doué emerged as the hero by scoring 2 goals and providing 1 assist in PSG's 5-0 demolition of Inter Milan, winning the Champions League Young Player of the Season award with his speed, dribbling ability, and threat down the left wing. Bradley Barcola played a key role in PSG's treble-winning campaign and stands as a front-runner for the World Cup squad, while Marcus Thuram from Inter Milan is almost certain to make it, and Christopher Nkunku remains defended by Deschamps despite limited playing time at AC Milan because the manager is convinced of his talent. Jean-Philippe Mateta earned his first senior call-up in October 2025 and immediately scored his first France goal against Iceland, while Rayan Cherki represents an exciting talent for whom Deschamps has big plans. This is the depth we're talking about. World-class players competing for the same positions, and some of these names who would start for most international teams might not even make the final squad. And we still haven't talked about the midfield and defense, the engine room, and the fortress. In midfield, France have Aurélien Tchouaméni and Eduardo Camavinga, both from Real Madrid. Tchouaméni is 25 and can play defensive midfielder, central midfielder, or even center back. He's calm with the ball under pressure, times his tackles perfectly, and delivers accurate passes. Camavinga is 22 with immense talent in intercepting and passing. Playing alongside them could be Adrien Rabiot from Marseille, expected to form a double pivot with Tchouaméni in the 4-2-3-1 formation, or Manu Koné from Roma, who former France international Samir Nasri called the revelation of the early 2025-26 season, alongside Tchouaméni. And then there's Warren Zaïre-Emery. He's 19 years old, a teenage prodigy from PSG who's already made senior appearances and scored for France. He's showcasing maturity and composure despite still being in his teenage years. He's noted for his maturity and technical ability, a joy to watch in Ligue 1. The vice-captain is N'Golo Kanté. Yes, he plays in Saudi Arabia for Al Ittihad now, but he's still in the fold. His legendary status and experience still matter. Now the defense. This is where France might actually be at their most terrifying, because they have a collection of defenders who are not just stars at their clubs, but are among the best defenders in Europe and the world. William Saliba is 24 and Arsenal's defensive cornerstone. He's earned Premier League Team of the Season honors and is among the best defenders in Europe and the world. He's a guaranteed selection and expected to start. Jules Koundé plays right back for Barcelona and has been outstanding under Hansi Flick. Samir Nasri said of him, "For me, it's the best at the right back position. He's a fixture on the right side of defense with top form and consistency, contributing both offensively and defensively." Ibrahima Konaté from Liverpool has established himself as a defensive stalwart alongside Virgil van Dijk. He's 25 and guaranteed selection for centre-back. Dayot Upamecano from Bayern Munich is 27 and also guaranteed selection. Nasri said if he repeats his Bayern Munich performances, he's a potential starter. Most predictions have him starting alongside Saliba in central defense. At left back, there's Lucas Digne from Aston Villa, who's 32 and benefits from being a reliable option. Or Theo Hernandez, who's arguably one of the best left backs in the world currently, though his recent move to Saudi Arabia may affect selection. The goalkeeper is Mike Maignan from AC Milan, who's 30 and France's current first-choice keeper. He's been described as untouchable in goal. He consistently starts under Deschamps and is expected to start at the 2026 World Cup. Behind all of them is Didier Deschamps, who's been France manager since 2012. That's 13 years. He won the World Cup as France's captain in 1998 and won it again as their manager in 2018. He's one of only 3 people to win the World Cup, both as a player and as a manager. The others are Mario Zagallo and Franz Beckenbauer. He's confirmed that 2026 will be his final tournament. This is his swan song, and he has the pedigree to manage elite teams full of superstars. He's managed Mbappé, Pogba, Kanté, Griezmann, and Giroud without dressing room unrest. His squad selection is fairly consistent, allowing effective relationships to form. The luxury problem. Here's France's problem, and exactly why they're so terrifying to everyone else competing at this World Cup. 3 center backs have guaranteed selections: William Saliba, Dayot Upamecano, and Ibrahima Konaté, all playing for the biggest clubs in Europe, Arsenal, Bayern Munich, and Liverpool, and all ranking among the best defenders in Europe and the world. Only 2 of them can start. That's the kind of competition we're talking about here. Wesley Fofana from Chelsea, Ferland Mendy, and Lucas Hernandez all qualify as elite defenders who might not even make the squad, because the players ahead of them match or exceed their quality. Up front, Christopher Nkunku might not get much playing time despite Deschamps being convinced of his talent. Hugo Ekitike recently scored his first goal for France. Rayan Cherki represents an exciting talent with big plans from Deschamps. And Jean-Philippe Mateta just scored on his France debut. Some of these players would walk into most national teams, but for France, they might not even make the final 23. One source called it competition like no other at the tournament, explaining why France are simply stacked with quality players in every position and well covered in all departments. And one more thing about depth that proves the point. Even when Mbappé was absent for October, qualifiers due to injury, France still won 3-1 away to Azerbaijan and drew 2-2 with Iceland, while topping their World Cup qualifying group and qualifying directly without needing playoffs. Michael Olise starred in Mbappé's absence. The team functioned. That's depth. The perfect storm. Now let's talk about timing, because everything is aligning for France in a way that rarely happens in international football. The 2026 World Cup draw placed them in Group 1 with Senegal, Norway, and a FIFA playoff winner, either Bolivia, Suriname, or Iraq, giving them manageable group stage fixtures and a favorable path through the group that should let them avoid the biggest teams until the later rounds if they top the group as expected. But more importantly, look at when key things happened and what it means for their preparation. Ousmane Dembélé won the Ballon d'Or in September 2025. The World Cup starts in June 2026, which means 9 months of confidence, form, and momentum building. Kylian Mbappé scored 60 goals in 2025, arriving at the tournament in the best form of his life. PSG won the Champions League in May 2025, meaning Dembele, Doué, Barcola, and others are riding that championship confidence, while Real Madrid players like Mbappé, Tchouaméni, and Camavinga bring championship confidence from their club's success. Most of France's key players fall between 24 and 28 years old, the prime years for footballers where they're old enough to have experience, but young enough to have their physical peak. And Didier Deschamps has confirmed this is his last tournament, creating extra motivation and giving him his final chance to add another World Cup to his legacy with the team he's been building toward for years. A blend of world-class veterans and explosive young talent. Everything is aligning at exactly the right moment. France have the reigning Ballon d'Or winner, the most lethal striker in world football who scored in 2 World Cup finals, elite defenders playing for Arsenal, Barcelona, Liverpool, and Bayern Munich, Real Madrid's midfield, and squad depth that no other nation can match. Back-to-back World Cup finals prove their staying power. 2 tournament victories in the modern era establish their dominance, and a manager who's won it as both a player and a coach, treating 2026 as his final mission, brings everything together in June 2026 in the United States, Mexico, and Canada. France aren't just favorites, and they're not just contenders. They're the team every other nation will be desperately hoping to avoid. Because when you have a squad this deep, this talented, and this motivated, with a Ballon d'Or winner and a striker who scored 60 goals in a year, both hitting their absolute peak at the exact same time, that's not just dangerous, that's terrifying. So yeah, France is terrifying. Who stops them? Comment your pick. Argentina Breakdown drops Saturday. Subscribe. See you then.